Geometric Future. Now, you may not have heard about that brand, but it's becoming quite big. And I decided today to make a full build with their components. Well, actually just the only one and the case, but it's what made the PC came out so well. So let's actually start from the configuration. I went with a Ryzen 7 9800X3D paired with an RX 9070 XT. Basically the best value for money option on the mid to high range. A build like this is gonna let you power 4K, 160Hz easily, and even 1080p 320Hz. Why am I saying this specifics number? Is because I tested all this on the LC Power M27 UFD, which I recently reviewed on the channel, and it's the dual mode monitor, which allows you to switch from 4K to 1080p. But the thing is, this hardware combo can do it all if you build it right. And the way to build it right is to save as much money as possible, except where it actually matters. So I wanted to try to go full ASRock, so I went with a Steel Legend B850, which I bought for really cheap. ASRock currently, at least in Europe, is priced very well, and I have been buying 9070 XTs from ASRock for a while. You saw probably 15 of them on the channel. This time I went with motherboard 2. I have to say, ASRock has always been very good in terms of quality, but recently they've also finally started to make the software look decent, because the software was terrible, and now they have an auto driver installer, and the software still is very subpar compared to Asus, MSI, Gigabyte, but it's getting there, so it's actually recommendable, you know. Now for RAM, I actually tried something a bit different this time, because I went with the usual Kingston Fury Beast, because they're the best value for money right now, and also the year 5 prices are going up a little bit as I predicted. Well, it's not much of a prediction, it's just it's winter, PC prices go up, especially SSDs, DRAM, and GPUs. But this is 6800 MHz RAM. And usually you want 6000 MHz for Ryzen, because if you go over around 6400 MHz, you're gonna have to decouple the FCLK and you're gonna lose performance. However, recently I tested that if you have some very good memory, even if you decouple the FCLK, if you go fast enough and low enough with latency, you can actually make it worth it. And that was the case this time. This actually gave me better performance than a standard 6000 MHz C30 kit. So I'm very impressed by what Kingston has done here. And I'm actually surprised they're not advertising it more, because this is a very good kit I will actually be recommending from now on. Now for the SSD, as I said, prices have gone up a little bit, so to keep the prices low, I tried a Lexar unit. However, it's not really trying, as I've been using quite a lot of these too in the past, but now they are the right price. And the one I use here is the Lexar EQ790 1TB version, and this now is on discount. I will also show you the Crystal Disk Mark score. This is a very good drive. And of course, the motherboard has decent heatsink, so it was very easy to plug in. Now, what you may think is actually overkill is the cooler. So this Geometric Future Eskimo 42W is a 420mm only one water cooler that's white. And since it doesn't have any fancy LCD screens or other strange stuff, it comes in very cheap for a 420mm water cooler. But the thing is, the 9800X3D is widely underestimated in terms of what kind of heat it can put out. Now, let me explain. If you are at stock, or if you're running a cheap motherboard with tight power limits, this is a CPU you can cool pretty easily. However, if you are actually tuning this and overclocking it a little bit, it's not really overclocking, it's more like extending the boost nowadays. But anyways, even if you're undervolting at the same time as I show on the channel, this thing is gonna draw a lot of power. But with this cooler, it's not getting hot at all. Those are some of the coolest CPU temperatures I've seen on a 9800X3D. Also, I mean, it's not every day that you put such a big water cooler on it, but it's very impressive. And what's also impressive is that the case, the Geometric Future Model 5 mesh, is able to accommodate such a large water cooler while being kind of compact. Now, I could actually make a dedicated video about the case because it has so many features, but I'll try to keep it in the build because I think it's more interesting if it's actually in a real world scenario rather than actually making a video about a case. But the thing is, this has all 140mm fans pre-installed everywhere. It comes with a lot of pre-installed fans, as you can see, 5. So it's perfect to complement a 420mm water cooler. How it does that is it is slightly larger in width, okay? So it's not taller, it's not really longer, but it is more wide. Okay, and this being a little bit more wide and also compromising for fan space at the front allows you to do this. The airflow is pretty interesting. It has reverse blade fans on the bottom, so basically the air comes in from the bottom and from the side, basically this way, and gets pushed out from here and from the top. So it's 4 in, 4 out, all 140s, perfectly neutral airflow, okay, and perfectly following thermodynamics because it's going from the bottom to the top. This is much better than a lot of cases we see today. And it is fully, and I mean fully, mesh. They also make the non-mesh model, but I like the mesh model so much more because the back panel is fully mesh, top is fully mesh, and the front is fully mesh with a very unique design where if you have enough RGB inside, you will see it glow through from the front. Also, I really like how they put the buttons on the front. I think they look very unique. And the cable management on the back is basically pre-made for you. You mount your power supply basically on the top, and you have a routed cable to the back, which means you have the cutouts made specifically for your power supply, and that means you don't have to cable manage because you will end the cable length by itself. You can just close up the case in the end. That, guys, that is what good design is. Now, for the power supply, we went with a Thermaltake Tough Power GT Snow, just because it was cheap and because it comes with flat white cables at a very low price, which means currently, unless you want to go with sleeved cables, if you're building a full white build, white cables do play a role, and so that was the best choice. But back on the case, right on the front of where you mount the PSU, you have this little stand. Now you can also remove it, it's just 2 screws on the bottom, but I am leaving it there because you can put an action figure on it if you want. It's basically pre-made for action figures. Or even a screen, like one of those Lamptron screen I covered in the past on the channel. You just place it here and make your case look unique. It's a bit of space of modularity, which is cooler right here on the top. And since we don't have any airflow coming from that portion of the case, you can put whatever you want on it without influencing anything. By judging the GPU temperatures as well, even though the 9070 XT certainly is a card which draws a bit of power, we can see just how good the airflow is in the case. And with the PC fully built, it was time for some gaming, but basically, as I told you in the beginning of the video, the results are this thing can max out any competitive title at even over 300 Hz at 1080p, and you can play any single player title or story-based game at 4K, even at 160 Hz. This thing is a little beast, and we don't like ray tracing around here, so if you don't need the NVIDIA features, going with AMD is going to be a good choice. If you're going full ASRock, you're going to have your motherboard matched to your GPU. The case and all-in-one all have a simple 3-pin connection, so you can plug it on your motherboard, and with the ASRock software, sync everything up. This is a very easy to replicate build. It is something I am very much recommending today, and budget-wise, it's going to cost around 1,800 bucks, in the low 2,000 bucks, I want to say, depending on your area, depending, of course, on what kind of deals you get. But it's money very well spent if you want something unique that's also going to work very well in terms of temperatures, and it's also going to be very easy to build in. I think any single one of you can do it. But as usual on my channel, I want to hear what you guys actually think. So if you guys disagree with me, if you guys tried any kind of hardware that's inside here and didn't like it, please do let me know so I can revisit it or maybe try something else and make a better build. With that said, see you guys in the next one, and maybe drop a like and subscribe, support the channel. Bye bye.